All signs pointing to the idea that Juan Soto is going to make his massive decision tomorrow, Monday, December 9th, on where he's going to be playing baseball next season, as well as for the foreseeable future. We're starting to get a good idea of what that contract is really going to look like. I'm here to break down all the bits and pieces on this episode of Red Sox Digest, but first remember, if you're a part of the 85% currently watching this video who are not currently subscribed to the channel, please scroll down, click the subscribe button, help us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We do appreciate all the love and support, so thank you guys so very much for everything. But now let's get to it and break down the Juan Soto contract and how big it really is going to be. And he might be paid more than Shohei Ohtani did just last offseason. As we know, he was being paid as a dual threat type of guy, a guy that not only can play in the outfield and give you statistical production at the plate that is otherworldly, but as well as being an ace on the mound. And again, he got $700 million, a lot of it being deferred money, and it seems like Juan Soto may even eclipse that. Now, this article written by Bob Nightingale this morning on December 8th is titled MLB Rumors Juan Soto Bids Eclipse $700 million as Winter Meetings Kick Off. And again, we'll get into this and break down this article as well as a bunch of other things surrounding Juan Soto and his contract and really just how genius of a businessman Juan Soto is, and you'll understand why in just a minute. Now, Nightingale goes on to say this in the opening of this article. So Juan Soto is on the verge of signing a monstrous deal that will certainly exceed a record of $700 million and perhaps even reach the $750 mark. Two officials with direct knowledge of negotiations told USA Today Sports. Those officials did ask to remain anonymous as they did not have the authority or the authorization to then speak publicly. So again, Nightingale did leave those guys anonymous. But again, the idea that people close to the source and close to all parties involved or a specific party involved have made this known that, hey, he's getting 700 plus. There's no way around it. And he damn might even get 750 plus if the Mets really have to go out there and spend the money. And again, they're on the record. Cohen is on the record. I'm going to go out there and I'm not going to get outbid. I'm not going to get bullied. I will do the bullying when it comes to laying out these contracts, negotiations, and throwing out these offers to one in Juan Soto. Nightingale goes on to say, the New York Mets remain the favorites, executives say, but officials caution that the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Red Sox are all in the same $700+ million neighborhood. The deal certainly will be a blessing for teams with exorbitant contracts, suddenly making all-star outfielder Fernando Tatis' 14-year, $340 million deal look like a bargain if the San Diego Padres ever decide to move him. And again, if you don't know what Nightingale is referring to here when he says this, the idea that Fernando Tatis got paid years ago, whether it be 2 years last year, a handful of years ago, he did get 14 years, $340 million, which is it's a lot of money. That is a very, very healthy contract. But again, when seeing someone like Juan Soto, who, yes, is in a bubble of his own, there's a very, very small class of players that would be in the same category as Juan Soto when you really bring in all the factors. The fact that he is only 26, brand newly 26 years old. He just turned 26 not even a month ago. Okay, he's 26. He is already played in 2 World Series. He has won one of them. He has played in big moments. He's made big swings, and he has been the big swing of big games and in big moments. It is Juan Soto. There's no way around it. He's a generational talent. You've heard the spiel before, not only from me, but around the game of baseball. It doesn't matter who it is. If you have watched the game of baseball and you understand what you're watching, you understand that this is not a crazy idea to see someone like Juan Soto be paid and compensated the way it seems like he's going to be this offseason. And again, this is all to credit to Juan Soto. And again, it'll make sense in just a second. Bob Nightingale goes on to wrap up this article saying, Soto's deal will eclipse Shohei Ohtani's 10-year, $700 million deal last winter with the Los Angeles Dodgers and will pay Soto an average salary of at least $47 million a year for 14 or 15 years. This is a massive contract. And, oh, yes, it will include opt-outs just in case and somehow undervalued in just a few years. Now, again, Juan Soto, credit to you and credit to your agent, Scott Boras, for getting this done. Obviously, it's not done yet. But again, the idea that this has fully been in the moves. And yes, shout out to the Boston Red Sox. We are still covering the Red Sox on this channel. And again, we are specifically covering Soto right now. But the idea that the Red Sox are involved in these conversations, not only did they start these conversations and they were involved with the Mets and the Yankees early, as well as the Rays, the Dodgers, and the Blue Jays, and the other teams that were looking to meet and obviously offer Juan Soto this offseason. they have now continued, and now it's December 8th, and we are still heavily in the mix amongst these massive teams, and obviously the two massive market teams in both New York markets, in the Mets and the Yankees. So again, credit the Red Sox for actually being buyers and actually being aggressive, in the sense nothing is done yet. We haven't gone out and got Juan Soto by any means, and again, we're not out of it by any means also. But the idea that the Mets, the Yankees, they are going to be out here and bidding aggressively for Juan Soto like they all should be, it seems like this is going to be a very, very tight race all the way to the end, regardless of it ending tomorrow or not. So really quickly to cite Bob Nightingale one more time, this time not via article but via his Twitter. This was yesterday, December 7th. He goes on to say, and I quote, "There has been $740 million spent in free agency this winter after today's signings. It's quite possible that Juan Soto eclipses that total himself once these high-stake negotiations conclude." Now that is preposterous, ridiculous, use whatever word you would like to. This is insanity. But again, it's Juan Soto, 26-year-old generational talent. And again, credit to him. And the reason I keep saying that, obviously, did not just brush over this. Willie Adames is now a Dodger, now a Giant. Blake Snell is now a Dodger. Aroldis Chapman is obviously a Red Sox. Danny Jansen is a Blue Jay. Just to sign off and really highlight some of the recent acquisitions that we've seen in the last few days. Obviously, I was about to say Oakland, Las Vegas Athletics have now acquired Luis Severino as well. There's been a few moves, but the idea that Soto is going to eclipse 5-6 different transactions by himself is flat out preposterous. But again, it is what it is, and Soto deserves every bit of it, especially if he ends in Boston. But again, we're going to cite this article, and again, we have another piece of information graphic that we're going to use in just a second to really make this a better picture. But again, this article written in Forbes titled "Juan Soto's About to Break the Bank and Break Some Contract Records," written by Dan Friedman. And again, he goes on to say this: Soto's impending free agency has been the talk of baseball for years, or at least since July of 2022, when he rejected the Washington Nationals' offer of 15 years and $440 million. That season, Soto played for the Nationals and then the Padres after a deadline trade for a sum of $17.1 million. The next San Diego Padres avoided arbitration and agreed to pay him $23 million. And last year, as we all know, he went and played for the New York Yankees, where he played for $31 million on a one-year deal and was able to avoid arbitration. Now, this is big for one reason and one reason only. Again, this is to credit Juan Soto and obviously his agent, Scott Boras, as they did this correctly, without a doubt. And it seemed crazy. This was the long game. This was the waiting game. But Juan Soto's getting exactly what he anticipated and exactly what he knew he was going to get. Now, I have this picture. It's obviously from BR Walkoff from earlier this year in May, when Jon Heyman went on and he started discussing Juan Soto and his ability to get re-signed during last season by the New York Yankees, and how he did not let that happen. He wanted to test free agency. And this wasn't just, hey, I'm in New York. Hey, they should watch me do what I did in New York. I played next to Judge and next to Stanton and Jazz Chisholm. We made a run for the World Series. We're in the Fall Classic. We fell just short to a super team in Los Angeles. And I arguably was the best player on the New York Yankees the entirety of the offseason. I'm going to get paid. No, this was way, way longer than that. This goes back just like not like Jon Heyman said, but Friedman said, dating back to the Washington Nationals. The Nationals obviously started with Soto. Soto was drafted by them. He played for them for a handful of years. He got him to a World Series. He won a World Series with the Nationals. Obviously, it wasn't just him. That team was very, very good from top to bottom. But then he was offered a bunch of different extensions from the Nationals. They knew what they had, but they weren't going to give him the money that he's now going to get because, well, the markets have changed and his value has changed, as again, he has not done anything but really speed up and just maintain the pace and just be Juan Soto. He hasn't died down in any form of statistical production, and again, he just continues to do what Juan Soto does. Now, I don't have the graphic because it just didn't load and it's all messed up because of it, but this quote from Jon Heyman in this video, he goes on to speak about how the Yankees, the Yankees did try to go out and get Juan Soto and to extend him. So they didn't have to let him get to free agency, and they didn't have to go through a bidding war, regardless of whether it be with the Mets or the other teams involved, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays. Again, the list goes on. And he goes on to say, and I quote, "Here's a fact that I'm not sure if everyone knows. Not only did the Nats try for a 15-year, $440 million deal, there was 6 other tries. He had 7 offers over the past 5 years to stay with the team he was on, and he didn't even take any of them. And now he is closer to free agency than ever." And again, that is the quote from Jon Heyman. He, again, said this in this video when discussing the Soto extension on his podcast in the middle, towards the end of the season, if you will. In May 22nd to be exact. That's when this was posted at 3:17 by BR Walkoff, again citing Jon Heyman on his podcast. And again, this is huge. Soto went through years and years of wanting to get to the offseason and be able to test the free agency market. And now he has finally made it there. And because of that, he's going to be paid like he should. And this exactly, I know this, we don't see this a lot, especially in this long of a running. Obviously, this has started ever since Soto declined those offers back in 2022. It is now 2024. He's played for 2 other baseball teams in that time period. The San Diego Padres, that were obviously loaded. And again, they were able to trade him, Juan Soto, to the New York Yankees, where they then reloaded on a bunch of young, promising talent, Michael King being one of those guys that came over in that trade. And again, he just led the league in the lowest ERA throughout all qualified starters. Damn good trade for the Padres, as again, they didn't really slow down. They have Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, the list goes on and on. CJ Abrams was one of those moves that were moved to the Nationals when traded for Juan Soto. Again, there has been a lot of very good talent, whether it's been coming from the Yankees going to the Padres or the Padres going to the Nats for Juan Soto. So yes, Juan Soto's value has been extremely, extremely high, but the idea that either of these teams would even move him before allowing him to get the free agency, to then get back these lump sums of talent, to really reset their organizations when losing a generational talent like Juan Soto. So again, this could mean it is even a heavier loss for the New York Yankees if and when he does not sign with those New York Yankees, whether it be with the Red Sox or the Mets. And again, this just applause, a round of applause to Juan Soto and his agent for being able to really get this done. Get to the free agency market, test the market, and cause the bidding war that everyone knew it was going to happen. Everyone, and especially behind closed doors, when Boris is talking to Soto and they're having this conversation like, if you touch the free agency market, we are going to be just fine, because no one is going, it's not going to be one clear guy or one clear organization going after you. It's going to be a handful of teams trying to get in the pot. And when they do that, it is not going to be clear and cut, hey, we're going to give you this, we're going to take that. We're going to cause them to fight in war, in a bidding war over you, and we're going to get a lot of money this offseason. That's exactly how it seems like it's going to play out. My guess for the contract, I think Soto ends up in Boston. I think it's for $728 million for 14 years. That's my guess. I hope I'm right. I will see you guys tomorrow with an update of where Juan Soto actually landed this offseason. I appreciate you guys watching. And again, remember to subscribe to the channel to help us get to our goal of 1,000 subscribers. We do appreciate it. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys on the next one.